So I'm an Indian motorcycle owner here at a Harley Davidson dealership, and I'm going to try out the new 2025 Street Glide. So the Street Glide has been a staple in the Harley Davidson lineup for quite some time. This is the newest version. Now, in 2024, that's really when we saw the big changes in the Street Glide. And don't get me wrong, I'm no expert. I talked to a couple guys here before making this video so I could be kind of brought up to speed on what's new. But the key points here are going to be the new screen that came out last year, new fairing design, and now you actually have really cool integrated turn signals right into the fairing, something I wish Indian still did. You have a new tank design. They actually were able to, the big thing they were going for here is to lighten the weight of this bike by doing a few key things. And actually part of that tank design, I guess, was one of those things they did. So they took and squared off the corners of this tank. You didn't lose any capacity, but you got a really cool aggressive look and actually saved a few pounds by shaving some metal. And you still have the same strength that the original tank had. Another thing that they did is with the screen design. The screen is it's a full screen. There's no more analog gauges on this bike at all. Some people see that as a negative, but the idea behind that is it's fully customizable, and actually you can save weight with wiring and with the fact that you don't have the extra bulkiness of having those analog gauges there. So now you can pick the layout that you want. It gives you a better overall experience, whether you're looking for a sporty experience, whether you're looking for more of a touring experience. And it gives you a nice, vibrant, and bright display for your gauge readout. Again, I think it's kind of cool. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I think they're kind of doing a neat thing there. And the other big benefit on that is you're able to save weight. That's weight that's right above your handlebar, so a good place to save it. Save the weight up high especially. Another thing that they changed in 2024 is now the base level engine for a Street Glide is a 117. Now the particular engine in this bike is the 117 HO, which makes really good power, which we're going to find out here shortly. But you don't have any option to go any smaller than a 117 now, and you can only go up. The overall aesthetic of the Street Glide changed as well. It is definitely a little bit more modern. You can still see the heritage of the bike overall, but it is a more modern and angular design in the fairing and in the tank, and even in the bags. The back end of the bike was also updated in the lighting department. Now you have two really nice big lights, and really the whole package in the back end is really closed off and finished off really well. It really has a premium look over on the bike. I mean, that is one thing that Harley Davidson's always done a really good job with. I think their finish is premium. First off, their paint. They have a really good paint program there. If you look at these controls that you have on your handlebars, this is metal. That's one thing that Indian used to do, and they went away from in 2018. They went to a plastic housing. Is it a big deal? Well, not really, but it adds overall premium feel to it. Their button layout feels really nice. I mean, I don't know if this is any different than what I'm used to in Indian or other brands that I have, but the button layout is really nice. And apparently if you touch the cruise control, the bike turns on, or at least does something. In 2024, they also revamped the suspension, so I guess they have a better rear suspension system in it. That is one thing, one big difference I've always thought between the two brands. I always thought Indian rode better than Harley Davidson. I have not ridden a new Street Glide. The newest Street Glide that I've ridden is probably around 2016 era. So I'm pretty dated on what I have experienced. So shortly we're going to find out what this new one is like. So before we go any further into this review, I'd like to have a big shout out to Chippewa Falls Harley Davidson. It's because of their generosity and trust in me that they're allowing me to use one of their bikes and film this review. They're a dealership in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. They have a really excellent staff. They've always been really friendly and nice to me. I mean, they all know what I do. I work across the street from them, actually, but they've always been really kind to me, and I've seen how they treat their customers. I think you have a really good customer experience. So if you are looking for a new Harley Davidson or even a really cool used one, stop by Chippewa Falls Harley Davidson, tell them Zach sent you, and check out what they got. With that being said, let's actually take this thing out for a ride. I'm itching to try this thing out. Let's turn our 360 camera on. We'll see how the stabilization works. So this bike, Harley's old, one thing I never was into them for was the amount of vibration that they had. And part of it, I know the girls like that, but part of that is my wrists, I can't take it. Now this looks like it vibrates a lot, but you got rubber mounted bars, so as soon as I put my hands on it, it goes away. We're going to see the stabilization quality of this X3, because that is shaking a little bit right now, but you know, this has enough shake for the character, but it's not like unmanageable by any means. Man, clutch feels smooth, huh? It's not like an old school Harley. Screen is nice and bright. So I have a tinted shield here, so I was worried that I wouldn't be able to read that screen with my visor down, and guess what? I can read it just fine. Warm day today, so we're gonna have this pointing at us. All right, so the last newer Harley that I rode was, I don't know, quite a few years ago when the new Softail came out. And Luke's the sales manager over here at Chippewa Harley. He let me take it out just because I was curious. And I've always loved fat boys. Like, if I'm gonna own a Harley, fat boy's gonna be my bike, man. And that thing felt so good to me. And now I know that was a new chassis design and everything, but it just felt so good and modern to me, and smooth, which is not what I was used to with older Harleys. This bike is giving me that same feel right out of the box. Seating position is different than what I'm used to in an Indian. I do feel I don't have as much legroom in this guy, but I'm not uncomfortable. It feels like I'm sitting up a little higher, but the seat I feel secure in, so that's good. The bar reach, my arms going to the stock bars, feels really good. Brakes feel great, which again, like Harleys of old, you know, you can tell I'm not really a Harley guy. I have nothing against them, you know, but Harleys of old, they never like struck me as, oh man, those brakes are really good. But this feels excellent. This just has a good feel to it. That shouldn't surprise me. I mean, Harley Davidson is still #1 in the segment that it plays in, but an Indian's been taking market share, but I mean, Harley's still the big cheese, and so that means they have to do these improvements, and I'm glad to see that they have. All right, let's get over here. Not cutting anyone off, thankfully. There's a different road I wanted to take. So one thing I want to say, most of my experience right now in this style bike is on an Indian Chieftain, and the Chieftain I always thought had a superior ride to it, and it had really good handling. Now, Street Glide, this guy here feels just as nimble, if not maybe even a little bit more, slightly more. Ride quality yet, I don't have I can't say it's better, but I can say that this rides better than Harleys of old. Like when I take in trades on Harleys and they're like 15 years old or whatever, this definitely has an upgraded suspension. You know, I know this is a new design last year, but it definitely rides like it should. Another thing I'm gonna say, this style bike I normally don't wear a full face helmet for, and that's because the buffeting that you get off, if it's goofy in these fairings, it's bad, and it beats me up and my head just bounces all over the place. Right now we're cruising 50 miles an hour and I don't have any of that issue going on. I can open this guy up to get me a little bit of airflow because it's freaking hot today, and yeah, no issue at all. All right, so that bump back there, this bridge girder, whatever, I don't know what the frick they call it, but when it's a transition back there, normally that's a good test to see how the suspension is, and this thing was just like a pillow. I was kind of expecting to feel a little bit in my tuchus, but no, it felt good. Let's see what this 117 has for power. We'll get onto it a little bit. Not bad. Sounds good. Sounds good. It, I don't know what mode I'm in. So, cool thing about this, switching between modes is very easy. I just push that button there, and I'm in sport mode now. All right. If I pushed it twice, I must have been in whatever custom mode they had, or maybe I was in rain mode. So we're in sport mode now. We'll get up over this hill, because I will say it wasn't, the acceleration didn't feel bad, but it was I was expecting a little bit more pull, but I think I was in a baby mode. So let's try this in a man's mode, sport mode. We'll get away from a couple of these houses though before we try it again. So this thing, it does have the optional navigation package in it, I guess. I think. Oh, there it goes. She loaded up. One thing they were telling me is that Harley kind of went the way of BMW, and you do have to pay a monthly subscription service for this navigation. Now, I have a lot of thoughts on that. I'll just keep it short and say, well, that navigation system better be freaking stellar if you're making people pay for it every month. I don't know if it is. It doesn't look bad right now. You'd really need some time to determine whether or not it's worth paying for. But that's one thing that I think they maybe shouldn't do. But to each their own. If people are going to pay for the subscription service, I don't know how much it costs, you know. So, but I know like BMW and some of these luxury car brands started doing that. Hey, at least you got heated grips. You don't have to pay a subscription service for that. You know, BMW, you had to do that with your heated seats, so. Good sounding motor. And the power delivery is smooth. I'm being a little bit more careful with this bike. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, because I'm not an asshole, but handles nice. Feels good in the corners. You know, that's one thing I tell people too when they test ride these newer baggers like this. Like, oh, they're so heavy. Just start moving. They feel way lighter once you start going down the road. And this is definitely follows that characteristic. All right, we're gonna take this guy up and open it up again now that we're in sport mode. See what this 117 HO is all about. Let's get past this house though. Be nice to the neighbors. Ooh, yeah, okay. Okay, it's not a turd anymore. That thing moves pretty good. The front end, you hit second gear, it's just such a nice positive engagement of the clutch. It it kind of pops the front end up a little bit. Not bad. Good engine on this guy here. Cruising around on a new Harley Davidson. Got cruise control. You know, the control layout is definitely different than what I'm used to, but it's not bad. The one thing I would say is bad is for a second there, when I started talking, I thought I lost my phone, and then I realized I had this awesome tray to store it in. So I hope I don't forget it in this bike. when I move on to the next one. This is superior to what Indian has. Alright, so same thing, you roll forward on the throttle like that, it'll disengage the cruise control. Hey, that dude's test riding a Goldwing we got, I think, hopefully. Nope, that's his own yellow trike. So there's some good twisties that way, but I know I'm going to catch up to that trike really quick. So we'll give him a little bit of room before we go. Ah, see, I'm too impatient. I'm going to catch him so fast. Because even though this is a big bike, it still likes to play in the corners. It feels good. It really does. Okay, yeah, all right. All right, Street Glide, I see you. I see you. Yeah, feels good. Feels good. The no-handed test, we're gonna try it up here. See right there, I grabbed that rear brake and I just like all of a sudden poof. That's my, that will say that is the one nitpick I have against this. Is that rear brake, when you give it any kind of pressure, it just kind of surprises you. Otherwise, as long as it doesn't do that to me in a corner, I can manage, I can deal with it. But if it does that to me in a corner, I'm gonna be freaking not super happy. Alright, so let's talk about this engine quick. 117, it's not a Power Plus. Alright, the 112 Power Plus, it makes more power. It, you know, it does outperform this. But you compare this to a 116 Indian, that extra cubic inch isn't the difference, alright? Like, 1 cubic inch, that's not where you're getting it from. I think, I do think it's stronger than a 116 is. See those brakes? Yeah. I mean, they have good stopping power. It's just I'm not able to predict them as well as I think that I should be able to. What's going on up here? But I mean, so talking about the engine, not the brakes. I like the 117. I've always liked the Milwaukee 8 platform. When I test rode the Fat Boy that had a 114 in it, and I thought that thing was awesome. That thing was a riot to ride. It had excellent power for that chassis. So I have nothing against this engine platform, and the 117 does well. What's this? I've already got road work. I think I'm gonna go the other way. Yeah, that road sucks anyways. I don't know what they're doing, but my luck, they have a bunch of pea, gravel, and grease, and I don't need to mess up with a brand new bike, even if it is one of their rentals. So I'm just trying to feel how this thing blocks the wind for you. Because as I mentioned earlier, the buffeting isn't there, like it doesn't beat my head all around, but it does have more wind noise than I was expecting. Again, I don't wear a full face helmet normally on a fairing bike, but it does a good job. Like I don't, you know, I don't feel any wind coming up and hitting me down from below, which makes my beard do this stupid little dance that's annoying and everything. But it still gives you a good overall feeling of having enough wind around you, and on a hot day like today, it's welcome to have a nice breeze. So there's no wind buffeting, a little bit more wind. I can hear it in my helmet. It's a little louder than I was expecting it to be. But all right, so there's something I want to make a point on too, going back to the engine. This thing there, you know, the red line starts at 5,500, and I didn't notice like a sharp drop off as it gained revs. It actually felt pretty nice and flat all the way through the red line, which is not a characteristic that I'm used to in an air-cooled V-twin like this. Of course, the air-cooled V-twins that I'm used to is in the Thunderstroke platform, and in order to flatten out that power curve, you really got to do some different cams, because they fall on their face, you know, around $5,000 or a little bit before. So the way that this makes power, it makes power, you know, closer to the red line still, which I like. It still has really good torque delivery down low like the Thunderstroke does, but it seems to rev a little bit more than the Thunderstroke. And I know I mentioned earlier the seating position and all that. I do prefer to be a little bit more stretched out in the seat, but up until now, me like just trying to think about it and mention it, I wouldn't have been complaining, and I'm still not complaining. I'm actually quite comfortable on this bike. So even though it's a little bit different seating position than what I'm used to, I do feel like I'm sitting more on top of the bike, where the Indian I feel like I'm more in a lower slung saddle and my feet are a little bit more forward, which I've just gotten used to that position and I really like it. This is still good. This is still comfortable. I don't know. It's just different. Different's good. Having two competitors that make quality product that basically force each other to do better. The only person that wins in that scenario is the consumer. So if you're in the market for a bike like this, you got two excellent choices in both the Indian Chieftain and in the Street Glide. I mean, I think really what kind of comes down to it is a preference thing. Both of these bikes are good. I could totally own this bike and be happy. You know, let's go back to the beginning. I have nothing against Harley Davidson. I don't own one currently. That doesn't mean I'll never own one. It'll probably be a fat boy when I do. But I mean, this thing sounds awesome. The ride of it is excellent, I think. You know, I still think Indian is a little bit more plush in the back. This engine's pretty freaking good. Hey, this 117 definitely does not suck. So I don't know. You got a good option here. It's a good bike. And it's different too for me. I'm not around this every day. So I'm kind of like all of you coming into this. This is really totally new to me. So you are getting a pure emotional response. You know, when I do my other stuff that I'm around every day, I know a little bit more about it. It's a little bit more muted in a way because, you know, when you're used to something, it's less exciting. So this is new to me. And I'm a little bit more excited about it just because it's new. We're gonna see what this thing's like on the highway. right, we're moving pretty good right now. Oop, wrong button. That's not the one I wanted. There's the turn signal. All right, we're in 6th gear. Let's hammer down. Wow, okay. All right, now we're got the full effect of the fairing. All right, this is good. I could wear a full face helmet in this and not hate life. This is good. Good wind protection. Yeah, it's cool. Has a little bit of a decel pop. I like it. See what's this guy doing? Oh, thanks, buddy. All right, Street Glide, guess what? You were balanced and, you know, kept me safe there when I wasn't sure what that idiot was doing. He made a move like he was going to cut me off. Wanted to hold the line there, but yeah. So Street Glide. I say this is quality. This is a good bike. I am reviewing this thing, you know, like just any guy coming on off the street and testing something that's new to him. So I'm pretty impressed. Well, so there it is, the 2025 Harley Davidson Street Glide. Like, I'm not trained in this bike. I'm not an expert on this thing. I'm just a guy that came over here, took one of these things out for a ride. This does have some upgraded stuff on it. Like I said, it has the heated grips. It has the cool billet floorboards and foot pegs and stuff like that. It has some nice touches on it. So this is a nicely done Street Glide. It does have the suspension, or I'm sorry, the exhaust on it. And I think that air intake is a little bit different too. But, you know, this is not a built-up, cammed-up machine. This is a pretty standard Street Glide, and I'll tell you what, this thing's a riot to ride. It handles nice. It makes really good power, and you know, it rides actually really good. It rides better than what I'm used to. I mean, normally when I take a Harley on trade and I move it around, that back end, it has a really abrupt firmness to it, and I'm not a fan of it. This thing rides nice. This is, dare I say, fairly plush. So I think that this bike is a really good option for anyone that's in the market for a fairing bagger, especially a fork mounted fairing. I am a Street Glide guy as far as style goes. So, you know, maybe one of these days I'll take out a road glide and see what that is like. But good job, Harley Davidson, on this. One thing I'll say, as far as a plus thing that's, you know, silly, this tray right here. Good thing I remembered my phone was already in there. Don't want to forget that. Hey, man. How's it going? Good, you? So that's just a nice little touch that it's one of those things you don't really think much about. It's not a big deal, but it kind of is in the day-to-day of living with something. The way that this vent system works, I got a nice breeze coming through. It's a really warm day here. It's humid. It's pretty hot up here in Wisconsin. So having all the airflow, but not having any of the buffeting at the same time, that's a plus. So really good design on the fairing. Again, the way that the turn signals are integrated into this, that's something that Indian did back in the day, you know, 11 years ago, and they've kind of moved away from that, and I wish they didn't. I always liked that about them. So now Harley's doing it, and they're doing a good job of that. They got a cool lighting package, nice gauge, nice, very easily readable display. I didn't even do much for this. I didn't mess with it at all because, you know, I don't know the controls very good. Heck, you saw me trying to struggle with the volume thing in the beginning if I left that in the edit. But I just noticed as I'm looking over here, that's where the volume controls are. See, this is new to me. I'm not used to the way this is laid out. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different. As I go from an Android to an iPhone, you're gonna have to learn some different things there. This is a good bike. So one thing though that I'll say that I'm not a huge fan with is the way that the brakes felt initially. I got used to it towards the end, and that's why I kind of shut up about it. But there were a few times where I'm kind of a rear brake kind of guy. It's just the way I ride, and I'm used to it on the bikes that I own, and it works out fine. This is the first time ever where I've noticed it kind of like unexpectedly like give me more braking than what I thought I was giving it for input. And again, I don't know if this is a link brake system or not. It kind of feels like it is, but that went away at the end of my test ride, and I don't know if that's because it went away or I just got used to it, so I was modulating my inputs differently. But other than that, you know, I really can't gripe anything else on this. It runs good, it runs out strong, it handles nice, I'm comfortable on the bike. So yeah, Harley Davidson Street Glide, that's a real contender. Again, like I said on the ride, you got two big brands that are making two quality products, and the people that win on that kind of scenario are the consumers. So they're going to try to one up each other, and they're just going to make better product because of that. So having Harley Davidson and Indian battling it out, that's a good thing. And having dealers that, you know, have good relationships across the way, I appreciate that too. So like I said earlier, if you're in the market for a bike, come visit Chippewa Falls Harley Davidson. They'll show you what's new and awesome in Harley. And, you know, I really appreciate them giving me this chance to ride the bike. If you have any questions or anything, I'm not an expert on these, but I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Leave a comment below. If you know, don't call me a trader or anything, please. You know, I'm just trying out different things. It's for my own knowledge, and it helps hopefully for your guys' knowledge too. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe to the video, or like the video, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that. And as always, don't forget to enjoy the ride. We'll see you later. Whew. She's warm, man. Holy cannoli. Glycerin. Glistening. Yeah, glistening. Whew. All right.